Hi everyone, it's Dr. Lawal here, and welcome to my channel. Thanks for having you back, and those of you that are new, big welcome from me. Today's topic that I'm going to be going over is self-care, and I'm sure at one point or the other you guys have heard about, the talk about self-care and why we should be engaging in self-care. And I'm going to use a simple everyday example to kind of explain why it's important for us to engage in self-care. For most of us, by now, we would have been on an airplane, and there's a routine on the airplane that the crew usually goes over, and they talk about how to put on your safety belt, and then they say in case of emergency, when the cabin pressure drops, the oxygen is going to drop. And one important thing, a piece of information that tell you, is to put on your oxygen before you help somebody else. And I want you guys to stop and take a moment and think about why is it important for you to get your own oxygen going first before you help the person next to you. Could be your little infant, could be an elderly person, or your loved one that are not able to do it themselves. But they ask you, instead of you jumping and just putting in and trying to help them first, because that's our instinct and that's the first thing we try to do, is help the person next to us first and not worry about ourselves. But they tell you to do it for yourself first, get your oxygen going first. And the importance of that, if you reflect on that a little bit, is because you need to be well enough. You need to be able to breathe for you to help somebody else. And if you're not at your best, you're not going to be able to help someone else. And that brings us back to the self-care and why it's important for you to be at your best. And self-care is not just physical. And self-care involves various aspects of life. And it could be a psychological, physical, of course. There's things that you can do to get yourself physically well and healthy and balanced. There's a spiritual aspect of self-care that's involved. There's emotional aspect of self-care that's involved as well. And there's also the personal and professional aspect of self-care that you can, things that you can do in those various aspects that I've mentioned that can help you live a balanced and healthy lifestyle and have you functioning at your best. That way, when you're at your best, you're able to, help your kids and help your husband or your spouse, your family, your extended family, your friends perform well at your job. And there's this piece of material that I found online while I was doing my research, and it's by Olga Phoenix, and I think it's a really, really important and basic, and it breaks it down, wheel, a self-care wheel, and it identifies little points that you can do and little things that you can do. And, it doesn't have to be all of that, but I think it's a good resource for you guys to identify or search at your convenience and look at that. And one of the pieces of that wheel that I really zone on is the psychological one. And one of the things of the various things that it mentions, it talks about self-awareness. And I think for you to be able to say you're taking care of yourself, you have to be aware of yourself. And you have to be able to identify what is it that you're doing that, it's not really beneficial for your health. And how can you, identify those gaps or those things that you could be doing better that can help you be more healthier mentally and physically, but most importantly, mentally. And how can you help yourself and do things differently so you're able to be more fulfilled, you're able to function at your health, at your 100%, and you have a better quality of life. So when you get a chance, you guys can go, if you just go on Google, you can just search up the self-care wheel, and this particular one is by Olga Phoenix in 2013, and look it over. If you have questions about any of those things, or you need to talk it up with your friends, your family, your spouse, and see, sometimes once you create or identify that self-awareness and identify the things you can do, you don't have to go at it alone. You can, recruit people, recruit your friends, your best friends, your loved ones to, go on it with you and help you identify and live a healthier life. So that's all for today's episode. If you have questions, feel free to ask and write your questions below in comments and contributions as well. And also, for those of you that just seeing this video or coming to my channel for the first time, feel free to subscribe as well. And I'll see you in my next episode. Take care.